Hey guys, this is Loki Mischief Collectibles. I hope everybody's doing good. Uh, Doing another video today. This one is going to be about my most recent trade paperback lot. And then, following up with that, I think we're going to talk a little bit about just the Energon universe, what I have so far with the Energon universe. Anyways, latest trade paperback haul. You can see Duke and Cobra Commander here, both volume ones. Energon universe. And then we have Scarlet, also Energon universe. This is a volume one. I believe this was just a short run. It was maybe just a 1 through 5 for her anyways. I'm not so sure. I haven't read them yet. Definitely interested in the Duke. I'm a big Duke fan. This came with the lot, so I got those three. So Scarlet, Duke, these are all volume ones, $14.99 each, and Cobra Commander, perfect condition, just like you bought it at the comic shop. And then this came with it. The reason why I say it came with it is because I feel like what I paid was already good enough for what I had just showed you, those three, because I paid $15 for three trade paperbacks that I wanted. Those are all each $15 if you caught them in the store. But this also came with a lot, and it's a volume 2 IDW, but you can see here it's actually a $19.99. Now it's a volume 2, which kind of sucks because I'm going to be getting into like the middle of the story kind of thing. So I'm going to probably look for the volume 1 first before I read this one. And then rounding it out, not the same person that I got the order from, but somebody else. I had heard that 7 to Eternity was good, and I saw it basically for $5. Caught it in the middle of the night, and I was like, well, I'll just at least just get the volume 1 because I heard it's so good, and it was really good. Different. Not going to get too much into the story, but it was good. Rick Remender is kind of notorious for starting stuff, not finishing it. Anyways, Rick Remender, I think he's good. I like his writing. I'll show you really quick, since I already read this one. Let's see here. So yeah, that's what it looks like. The writing is really good. The artwork is also very nice. I don't know a lot about artists. I would say as much as I do the writers, and that's probably because I care more for the writing. You got to have both, right? But for me, the writing is more the focus. But the art here it's great. You can see it's really great art. But yeah, Remender, he's a good writer. I think a lot of people get frustrated that he's not consistent enough, type of thing. I feel like he's somebody who just he's just a really good writer, but maybe doesn't cater to such a wide audience, but but it's still known as one of the best. But yeah, 7 to Eternity, so far so good. Volume 1 was really good. So I am going to pick up volume 2, not in a hurry to get it because I have other priorities right now. And the only reason why, to be honest, that I bought this one was because I caught it just randomly, perfect condition, new. Somebody was getting rid of it for, I don't even know how they shipped it to me for, how did they even make a profit or anything off this, because it was literally $5. But yeah, I was happy with that. So that's my latest trade paperback lot. very cheap. And like I said, with the Energon universe, I'm not really looking to, I'm not looking to collect all the comics. I just can't afford it. So, each one of these, like the Cobra Commander, it covers issues 1 through 5. The Duke 1 through 5 plus Energon Universe Special, and then 1 through 5 for Scarlet. So, anyways, it covers a few issues, and I didn't pay much. I mean, I paid $5 for each of them. Where if I had paid for the comics, it would have been a lot more expensive. So sometimes the trade paperbacks will have to do, but there are some things that I like that I'll get the comics for. And so for Energon Universe, let's go here. All right. So I already did a video about Void Rivals, if you want to check that one out. But yeah, I got Void Rivals. These are the comics that I've collected from the Energon universe, which is basically Transformers, G.I. Joe, yeah. So Void Rivals, this was the first comic to come out basically in the Energon universe. Special Transformers appearance in #1 here, which I'm sure everybody just went nuts. Kirkman's the writer. So I have #1, #2. See, I've been picking the covers, somewhat because of price, and then somewhat just because I like, choosing the covers. I'll give you one as an example. All the other #1s were kind of a little more expensive than I wanted, so I went with the 6 printing. But I still liked the way it looked. I liked that cover, so it was good. It was fine. I'm not worried about the value. I'm worried about getting a good book to read that's in, pretty, good condition, good enough condition that when I give it to my kids, they'll be able to read it. So nobody's trying to get rich off comics over here. So then, yeah, #3, #4, Void Rivals, #5. And the artwork's good. But the story is very interesting. If you check out the video, it has an interesting story. So yeah, I'm into Void Rivals. I'm gonna collect all of the comics. I only have up to #7 right now. Another, I'm not necessarily in a hurry. It is what it is. If I won the lottery and had $1 million today, I'd probably get all the issues, right? But you just buy what you can, and I have to be patient. Sometimes I get impatient, but I have to control that because I have other things to pay for. So we try to enjoy what we have, and then get it when we can. And then this was a comic book store grab that I also talked about in the Void Rivals, I believe, video, which was Duke #1. And then I didn't even need to get this, but I liked the cover, the serpent eye, and I always kind of had a thing for Cobra Commander. Now that being said, I'm not going to collect the Duke or Cobra Commanders or any other Energon comics except Void Rivals, and that's to include Transformers. Now picking up like the #1s like this because they had cool covers and it was just something cool to buy while I was at the comic store, that's all right, but I really just don't have the money to buy all the Dukes. Or same thing with the G.I. Joe. I'd like to get the G.I. Joe trade paperback for Volume 1, but I haven't got that yet, so we'll get to that. But yeah, so basically when it comes to Energon, I'm going to collect the trade paperbacks, but I'm going to only do Void Rivals for the comics. So, I have to stick to the plan or I'm going to go broke. I got other comics I'm collecting, like Radiant Black. So, I really need to be careful about my spending and stuff. So, yeah. So that's what I got there. So then the last things that I got for the Energon universe is the Transformers trade paperbacks. Now I got this one for my birthday. I was super excited about it, and then or not? No, you know what? This was the one. So this one I actually got on free comic book day. So it was actually my wife who was like, "Hey, it's free comic book day." She reminded me, let's go, get free comic books. And so we went to two different comic book shops. Well, at one of them, I splurged a little, instead of just getting the free comic books. And this was the one thing that I purchased. But this one, which is volume 1, Transformers, and it was freaking awesome. And so after reading it, I told my son I wanted him to get me this for my birthday, which is Volume 2, Transformers Transport to Oblivion. Now, I've already read both. So I can't even. So, I'm an 80s kid. Was really into Transformers, G.I. Joe, I haven't even gotten into any of the G.I. Joes yet, so I couldn't even tell you, except Duke makes a quick appearance in Transformers. The initial, so volume 1. I can't tell you what issue because it's, I'm reading it in volumes, but Duke makes an appearance in this one. The G.I. Joe connection. So they're all in the same universe. It's very interesting. But anyways, so I'm an 80s kid, and, Transformers was just a thing. And this just completely, just totally changed the game. I can't even explain how much it changed the game. So, a lot of people are talking about it. This whole thing with the new Transformers. IDW had it for a while. Transformers and G.I. Joe. They did a great job. I think, or at least I thought. I had heard good things, but I didn't collect. I didn't collect them or anything. I wasn't even collecting back then. I was doing other things, and so, so when Image got Transformers, the question was, how are they going to do better than already IDW has done? Well, they did it. And what they did was they totally flipped everything. They totally just, threw everybody for a loop, and they just said, this is the story that we're writing. This guy, Daniel Warren Johnson, which I know nothing about him, Skybound Entertainment, but he wrote a story, man, and it's crazy. I because I'm reading so many different things right now, forgive me if I miss something, but I'll try to tell you a little bit. Basically, millions of years have passed, type of thing, after a war on Cybertron, right? It's been millions of years, and the Autobots, led by Optimus Prime, apparently, they tried to escape Cybertron. At least this is what I believe. They tried to escape Cybertron to go somewhere that was safer, for the Autobots, because Cybertron was just endless war type of thing, is what I'm guessing. And they were looking for another place that had a good supply of Energon, but also, also a place, like I said, that was just safe for them. So they found Earth. Well, I guess the problem is that the Decepticons actually followed them, and so millions of years later, after this big war, they're all like destroyed. They basically just like destroyed each other, and they're like, they're in this cave, their ship, when they're all, you can see they're all fighting and they all blew each other up. So they've been here for millions of years. Now they're robots, right? So they're not organic beings, so they can just be like brought back online. So, you know, like I said, millions of years have passed, which we talked about in Void Rivals, where he's like, oh, you know, it's been millions of years. Anyways, so millions of years, these humans basically come in on this, and so Jetfire, so this is Jetfire, and he's reviving them. So for whatever reason, he revives Starscream first, when, like, basically Starscream is like the craziest, nuttiest character, which he always has been, even in the 80s, right? He was always like, he was annoying. He had a cool, he's a jet, right? So he's super cool, but he's just an annoying character. Well, here he's not just annoying. He is extremely brutal. So he's annoying, and now he's extremely brutal. So what happens is Jetfire revives Starscream first, because he can only revive them, one at a time. Slowly but surely type of thing. And so immediately Starscream after millions of years, and he wakes up, he goes to destroy Bumblebee. Now, if you know anything about Transformers, Bumblebee is, I wouldn't say controversial to most people, but there's a pretty good contingent of people that think of Bumblebee as like a Jar Jar Binks, like he's just there. He's for the younger kids type of thing, so there's a contingent, which I'm probably a part of, that just doesn't like Bumblebee. I have no interest in Bumblebee. When they did a whole movie on him recently, and I just thought to myself, how ridiculous. I just thought to myself, of all the characters that you could have done a movie on, you chose Bumblebee. But there's a much larger contingent of people that actually love Bumblebee. So that being said, the smaller contingent won today because Starscream gets woken up and immediately just destroys Bumblebee. And I mean beyond saving, destroys. Bumblebee is gone. He's not even going to be in this series. And it's extremely shocking, to be honest. But it's like I said, this writer, Daniel Warren Johnson, he just said, you know what? I'm taking care of Bumblebee right now. I don't want nothing to do with Bumblebee. So very interesting. Now it remains to be seen if I'm not going to look at spoilers and stuff. So it remains to be seen if in the future they try to bring Bumblebee back. But from what I can gather, and I've read the first 2 volumes, which is like the first first 12 issues, Bumblebee ain't coming back. He's gone. So, very interesting way to start the series, completely obliterating Bumblebee, who I consider a, controversial character in a way. You see there Optimus crying over Bumblebee. Very heart-wrenching. I guess if you like Bumblebee. I was shocked. I was taken aback. It took me a few minutes to process, to be honest. Like, what did they just do? They literally just, Bumblebee's dead. He's not even a part of the series. Bumblebee, right? So very interesting start to Transformers. You got the human characters. Like I said, the artwork's really good. Yeah. See, and Optimus Prime is telling the human guy, I forget his name, but he's telling them, that they tried to escape Cybertron, basically. Um, See, here's Duke. This is the Duke appearance. See, you can see right here. Oh man, that just psyched me up. That just got me so psyched. I was like, the Energon universe. I don't know. I'm just gonna love it. I'm just gonna love it. Um, Really, really good. A lot of good battle scenes. Optimus already is kind of what I remember about Optimus, which is just very caring. He's just good, you know. And he doesn't want to see any humans die. No living beings. Which the Decepticons, there's a part in this. I don't know where. I would like to see the part where. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. There's a part where, in front of this girl Carly, the Decepticon, I forget which Decepticon it is, but they just squish her dad, just squish him to death, right? Now you didn't see that in the comics. I mean, in the cartoons in the 80s, it was crazy, but it wasn't that crazy, man. And so already it's like, oh snap, you know what I mean? So, we got the Constructicons here, which is awesome. First volume, you already got the Constructicons. The Devastator. Just ridiculous, man. And just that page right there, just look at that. Just totally just Optimus is already decimated and he's just staring up at Devastator like, what the yeah, man. Just this stuff is so good. I mean, this whole series is going to be good, But yeah, that's volume 1 there. Like the way this guy is going. The whole Bumblebee thing, like I said, it's controversial. I don't know if it's had a negative effect on like sales. I'm pretty sure sales are fine. I don't look up stuff like that, But man, there had to be a lot of people that were just very frustrated about that. And I haven't really looked it up or read it. Maybe I'll check it out on Reddit because people talk about stuff. I wonder what people will say about that. There's a lot of Bumblebee fans. I mean, they made a whole Bumblebee movie, right? But for me, he just reminds me. He's just like a Jar Jar Binks to me, and I think that's to a lot of people, really. He was just like for the kids, and he was almost annoying sometimes. And this was in the 80s, the newer movies when they started giving him a different role and stuff. He was a little bit cooler, I guess, in the movies, but I didn't get the whole giving him his whole own movie like that. That was I don't know, man. Whatever. So yeah, Bumblebee's dead. You get to volume 2. Now at this point, both sides that were revived, the Autobots and the Decepticons are like they're trying to revive their comrades, both of them on both sides, because whoever revives their people first will survive the coming fight, because the coming fight basically involves fighting for Earth, because Earth has Energon and Cybertron is basically dead. And Earth is ripe for the taking, right? So So the first 6 issues, like I said, Starscream is particularly brutal, but he's not accomplishing the mission. So Soundwave, he decides to call Starscream on his poor leadership, and another shocking moment where Shockwave destroys Starscream. Starscream is dead. So I'm not sure if that sticks or not. Again, like the Bumblebee thing, but that was also a pretty shocking moment for me. I 100% expected Starscream to at least stick around. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, I was shocked. So yeah, Starscream is dead. Shockwave is now the new leader of the Decepticons, and he promises we're going to destroy the Autobots. Starscream was too weak, basically. So yeah, some really good art. Really nice art. Lots of battle scenes. I mean, it's literally just battle scene after battle scene. Almost every other page, pretty much. It's very nice. The artwork is great. Some interesting things, like the Decepticons torture the Transformers. That's an interesting one. But yeah. Devastator. But what it really comes down to, at least through volume 2, is questioning basically Optimus Prime's choices. So, he at the end of this one kind of shockingly chooses Earth over Cybertron. I wouldn't say it's shocking because he doesn't want the humans to just be wiped out. They're intelligent beings. So I don't think it's shocking that he's just like normal. He's just like a normal, like good person that doesn't want to wipe out an entire an entire planet of intelligent beings, right? So anyways, he chooses Earth over Cybertron, long story short. And he's going to protect Earth. I think he's going to protect his friends, but I don't think he has any interest in going back to Cybertron. It's been millions of years. Basically, the Decepticons are running Cybertron at this point, and there's just like very few Autobots left, and they're like fighting for survival and blah blah blah. But at this point, I don't think he has any interest in going back to Cyber. He thinks Cybertron is lost, and he's chosen instead to fight for Earth. And take that for whatever it is. But that's kind of what I've always remembered of Optimus Prime anyways, was just that he was trying to protect the humans. He understand that we're very fragile. We're not robots, basically. And he recognizes that. And so what might be shocking to some people is not shocking to me, that he chose Earth over Cybertron, right? So right now it's just a lot of questions about his leadership. We'll see where that goes. I don't think you can have a Transformers series without Optimus Prime, so I don't think they ever kill him off. I don't know how you would even, I don't know how you would move forward with that. So can they take away his leadership and, make his character more of a rogue type character? Maybe. But if I'm an Autobot, I'm following Optimus. That guy is G Money. I mean, he's who else are you gonna follow? I mean, you follow Optimus. So, anyways, but like I said, they're saying that he ran away from Cybertron, blah blah blah. And, he's saying that there was some dark forces there and they needed to leave because it's just Autobots, the good guys can't exist on Cybertron, so that's why he gave up on it. But anyways, yeah, really good so far, volume 1 and 2. So I do like the Energon universe. Gonna collect the Void Rivals comics. I'm excited about it. Only up to number 7 right now, but so far so good. Energon universe is cool. Yeah, I just want to talk about a couple other things. I bought this lot on eBay, which was a great deal. Something that I caught like late at night, and I knew not a lot of people are up. I might get lucky with this one, so I bid the lowest that I felt I was willing to pay, which was $20. And it was for 60 something Batman comics from the rebirth era, right around the Joker War timeline. So it has like a bunch of Joker War comics, and like half of it is like variant covers. It was in perfect condition, bags and board. It was all of them were bagged and boarded. 60 something comics, and nobody had bid on it yet. It had no watchers. I was like, what is going on with this thing? So anyways, I bid on it and nobody else did, and so I got it for $20. And I literally, I wasn't going to bid any higher than the lowest possible. And so I always feel like that's a weird situation on eBay, because I know as a seller that this person's losing money probably, or I mean, 60 something comics, he's probably gonna make $5-10 off me. And he just sold me like a ridiculous, and it is a Batman lot, right? And Batman goes pretty good price on eBay. And this is why between you and me, I will never do an auction on eBay unless you set it to the lowest price that you would set it by it now, which that at that point, but then what's the point of doing the auction, right? So I don't do auctions on eBay. To me, it's ridiculous, getting a lot of 64 Batman comics, Rebirth, the Joker War, around that time. A bunch of variants, like half of them variants for $20. I was like, wow, man, what is this guy thinking? I was thinking that, the order might get canceled. Well, anyways, literally the next morning, this guy sends it out. Cool. So I got it yesterday, and more than half of the comics were, well, first off, the box was very much damaged and open. But anyways, then when I started opening the comics on the inside, so more than half, so like 40 of the comics were taken out of the bags and boards, and then they were just crammed together. Really perfect condition, nice comics, man. Like, why would you take those out of the bags and boards? And they were just crammed together and stuffed in some other plastic bag. And, the way it was shipped was just ridiculous, and besides that, I paid for those bags and boards, is my opinion, because whatever you put in the picture, that's what I expect to be shipped. If I was a buyer, and like I said, I sell, I don't sell as much as this guy, but that being said, I do sell, and I would never, if I put in the picture, it has a bag and a board, it's coming with the bag and a board. And I don't necessarily need a bag and a board, right? I don't necessarily care about that. That's the thing. but you still have to let me know, whether or not it's coming with a bag and board, right? If I see in the picture that it's got a bag and a board, I expect it to be shipped that way. I don't want to get a bundle of non-bagged and boarded comics, because here's the thing is when I'm buying something, I calculate that out, right? Because bags and boards are not cheap and everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? So, so I paid $20 for that lot of 64 comics. So at that price I was like, wow, but that was all I was willing to pay, man. Otherwise, if I lose, who cares, man? I'll go for something else later that I have the money for. So now I'm stuck with 40 books that I have to bag and board because he literally went through all of those comics. I don't know if I don't know. He felt like he lost money, so he was going to keep the bags and boards because he wasn't going to save a lot on shipping. I mean, maybe a couple dollars, but this guy went through every single comic and took them out. And I just thought to myself, wow. And I would never, like I said, I would never do that as a seller. This is a guy who's been on eBay since 2003. So, he's got almost perfect reviews and stuff, but this kind of stuff always happens to me and it's annoying. So essentially I had to pay another $15 to get bags and boards last night. So that lot that was $20 ended up being $35. So whatever, still a good deal. Would never buy from that person again though. Because that's unacceptable to me. Luckily, even the crappy way that he shipped it, I didn't see any damage with the comics when I was spending 30 minutes to an hour last night bagging and boarding them. Like I said, which wasn't expected. And then I had to buy more bags and boards because I'm out. So, that guy screwed me, man. I don't understand some people. I just don't get it, man. And it's like, there's things on eBay where like, I've lost money because same thing. You know what I mean? I put it too low of a price. The shipping is more than I thought or something, You just take the hit, man. And you move on, you keep selling other things and you'll get that profit back. But you take as a seller, I believe that you take the hit. And he should have took the hit. He should have just sent the bags and boards. But whatever, man. It's all good. It's all good. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of my story there. And then one last thing is, I went to the Salvation Army down the street. Actually found a cool little book, there. Anyways, not going to talk about that right now, but, I had asked the lady, I said, "You guys ever get comic books?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, every other day we put a couple comic books right here on this shelf." And she showed me the shelf right there in the front. Well, anyways, so I went in this morning, man, and I'm not even lying to you. So I went to that shelf and I saw two comics. And I was like, "Oh, awesome!" Like a couple dollar comics, man, because right off the bat I can tell these comics aren't that great, man. But like I'll buy a couple dollar comics just for the hell of it right now because comics excite me, whatever. If I don't like them, I'll just throw them in a lot. Which check out Loki Mischief Collectibles on eBay, which I'll do a link to that because I always have toys and lots of comics at a great deal. And every lot, I say that I will include two comics, but technically I'm going to include more than two comics. You're going to get like some extra comics, man. I always hook up. And the lots themselves are actually good lots, but a lot of people selling on eBay, so I understand the competition and stuff. But I'm not in a big rush. They're going to be there if you want to check them out. Loki Mischief Collectibles. But anyways, I was thinking I'll just get a couple dollar comics, from Salvation Army. So I picked them up. Didn't even look at the price. I just grabbed them, thinking obviously these are going to be like $1 each, right? And I get to the front and she tells me $2.99 a comic. Now, this is Salvation Army, man. And the book that I had just bought 2 days ago, a nice little book that I had bought was only $2. So I told the lady, I said, "Well, why would this comic be more expensive than that book?" I said, I could almost understand if they were charging $1.99 a comic. But $2.99, I mean, I was just like, man, this is Salvation Army, bro. The comics weren't even in good condition. They were two random comics, two like so random that I had never heard of either of them, except that one said Valiant and the other one was just a random company that I didn't even know the name. So, but I was gonna buy them, man. Even if they were $2 each, I would have took them. If the lady was like a dollar, $2.99, that's ridiculous. I don't know who prices them, but I told her straight up. I said, I don't know who's pricing your comics. I said, but that's kind of ridiculous. I said, that's a lot of money. I mean, this is Salvation Army. I said, they're not even in good condition. I go get a new comic for $2.99. Well, anyways, she goes, well, people buy them. Yeah, well, there you go, right? Supply and demand. If people are buying them, then they're going to keep pricing them that way. So my advice here is stop buying stuff like that and essentially fueling the fire, man. It's like who's buying those comics for $2.99 each? I'm going to go in a week and I'm going to see if those comics are still there, because I want to know who would pay $2.99 for those two? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, So obviously, I'm not going to be buying comics at the Salvation Army. I'll still stop by because, maybe there'll be a comic that'll show up one day that I'll actually pay $2.99 for. I don't know. But I was in hopes that there would be like a dollar bin type of situation there. But yeah, no dice. I live in Monterey County, out here in California, and it's just pricey. It's pricey, and there's nothing I can do about that. So it is what it is. Same thing with the comic book stores. There's when they do have a dollar bin, the comics are probably not even worth $1, And so I get a lot of my deals on eBay and stuff, and that's why I also sell on eBay. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I kind of yapped it up for a while again. So, anyways, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll probably do another video tomorrow. Not sure what yet. Haven't even decided what I'm gonna read next, but we'll think about it and then do another video tomorrow. I hope everyone has a good rest of your Saturday. We'll talk soon.